Some experts say that depression and anxiety are the new normal. Suicide is the second leading cause of death in young people. As parents, we cannot accept this. Many young people feel helpless and hopeless. Our kids must be equipped with more than resilience and positivity. They need hope. Today, we invite to the show my dear friend, Lori Wildenberg, mom of four, licensed parent and family educator, and national speaker. And we're going to open a conversation, a very necessary conversation, about her newest book, Messy Hope. Help your child overcome anxiety, depression, or suicidal ideation. In light of a chilling story that has unfolded these last 48 hours here of a former Miss USA, Chesley Christ, a beautiful, remarkable, gifted soul who took her own life. Reports say, was it corrosive influence of social media, cyberbullying? We don't know, but we do know that the world lost a radiant light. And so we do take a pause right now for those who are suffering mentally and emotionally, and yet we just don't see it. And so my hope for this conversation is to encourage us and enlarge us and equip us and empower us and educate us to become more aware of the mental and emotional health of those in our lives, in our families, our children, our husband, our wives, our co-workers, our fellow students, anyone in our life, that we're just going to increase our sensibilities and our awareness that perhaps they are showing us some signs, or maybe they're not. You know, we live in a day where persona is projected. We talk about that all the time here. And we are hoping to increase authenticity and an environment where we can feel safe to share our deepest struggles. So welcome to today's Heart Lift with me, Janelle, and my dear, dear friend, Lori Wildenberg. As I've said, Lori is a licensed parent and family educator, a national speaker, and so good at it, I might add. Welcome, Lori.
Yay! Thanks for having me, Janelle. I'm so excited to be with you.
And I had a slip when I was introducing you, and I said, and we're hope lifters, and I was like, wait a minute, we're heart lifters. And then I went, no, but we're having the queen of hope lifters on today. We're having Lori on.
That's cute. I like that.
I know, I love it. Hope lifters and heart lifters are meeting together today.
Yeah, and that sounds like building up those muscles, doesn't it? Those hope muscles, hope lifters. I like it. I like it a lot.
I do too. You have been working in ministry and helping forever. You have 6 books, I believe. Yes. And you're co-founder of 1 Corinthians 13 Parenting Ministry. So I'll have all those lovely connection points in our show notes. But for now, I want you and you alone and your brilliance and your words to help us with this very, very difficult subject. And
I love that image of hope lifters. I think I'm hanging on to that. But
there's a group called Hope Lifters. I do think so.
Okay.
I think so, but
it's such a great image because you know what, we can increase hope in our kids. God can actually use us, the parents, the pastors, the counselors, the educators. He can use us to encourage and to stir hope and to cultivate hope in young people. And
I'm sorry.
You
go.
I'm just so excited about this topic because, Janelle, our kids are growing up in a hard world and they need hope, and so many are hopeless.
So many. And I shared with you before we started recording of clients that I have, and hearing words like, I don't care about anybody. I don't care about anything. And I'm like, wow, not even me? Still deciding. And I remember sitting there after a very tough session of my own hopelessness.
Sure.
You know, because I've worked for a long time to have trust and safety with my younger clients. And to have one say that for me was very deflating.
Yeah.
And I had to check my ego. I had to check my heart immediately. And I prayed immediately for words of hope that I didn't feel at all. And I'm skilled. And I couldn't find words because
you're a skilled human.
I'm a skilled human. And that hurt. It was like, ouch, you're still deciding whether you are caring about me.
Yeah.
That just hurt so bad. And I just immediately said, okay, well, if you're still deciding, let me decide something for you. I love you more than anything. I care about you. I want to walk alongside life with you. But this is your time to decide if I am helping or harming. And if I'm not helping, then it's time to find someone new to hold your hand now and walk on with you through the next phase of your life. So I'm giving you something to think about. And she's like, okay. I said, but I'm still your safe word. I'm still your safe call.
Yeah,
I love you.
Good.
And then I started reviewing and reading for today, and I read your words. Heartlifters, you better lean in here, because this thought from Lori makes me want to weep.
No.
It's so powerful. She writes, hope is a weaponized bear hug. Oh my God. A mixture of strength and tenderness activated following hurt. I have chills all over my body because after I hung up yesterday, I went through a real grief spiral. Like, did I say the right thing? I was up a lot of the evening. I couldn't sleep because I wanted to make sure that she was here tomorrow.
Yeah.
And in the morning. And I read these words and I thought, you validated what I want to help all that are listening understand, that when you ask for the words, God will give you the words. And he has spoken that over and over to his prophets and to his people. Open your mouth, I'll give you the words. And when you just said a weaponized bear hug, where on earth did that come from, Lori? Come on.
God.
I know.
I'm not that good.
Oh, but you are. Where do you remember where you were sitting when the thought downloaded, or what?
Just at my little computer.
Yeah.
Typing away.
Yeah. But it must have come from a heart.
You know, I think I had seen a picture of a bear holding a heart. And I think that's the thing that kind of God used to trigger it.
Imagery.
Yeah.
He baptized your imagination, as C.S. Lewis would say.
Oh, I love that quote.
I know. It's pretty powerful. And gave you this word, that mixture of strength and tenderness. So that was what validated it, kind of let me off my grief cycle. And it was like, okay. Because I felt very strongly to be firm and have authority.
Yes, because her life is out of control, and she needed to see that.
Okay.
That was actually a very safe thing for you to do for her.
Okay. So I really, like I said, didn't even know, and I feel very, and I really want our heart lifters and our hope lifters now to really hear that. So Lori, I know you didn't come by that phrase without agony, without your own despair and your own journey. If you wouldn't mind just giving us just a little bit of your story of why you wrote Messy Hope.
Yeah. Of the books I've written, this was the most scary one to write.
I'm sure.
And see, now you've got me crying. But this was a tough one to write because of our story and our family. One of my kiddos wrestled with depression, and then it kind of morphed into anxiety, which we all these things kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah, they do.
But she had wrestled with depression, I would say, and also an eating disorder in her middle school years. And that's very common.
Yeah, it's very tough.
Yeah, for young, tweens and teens, especially, puberty age, can bring on some of these, harder feelings. Anyway, so she had wrestled with that and wrestled, and we, of course, sought help. But I have to say, I just wanted her to get better.
Yes.
Right? Like, okay, we're doing this,
Yeah.
And we can talk about this later, but I've made a lot of mistakes. So
no, go ahead and talk about it now, if you would.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
well, so like one of the mistakes that I made, rather than sitting with her in her concern about her body and what she was putting into it. Now, okay, she wasn't fat. This was just in her head.
Sure.
She was in puberty. So, girls in puberty are a little thicker typically.
Yeah.
She didn't like that. And rather than me sitting down and unpacking those feelings with her and then guiding her and encouraging her to come up with a plan for healthy eating and exercise, instead, what I said was, I just kind of wanted to fix it right now.
Oh,
just do what your sister does. Oh my gosh, someone hit me in the head. Do what your sister does. Just eat healthy and exercise and it's fine. You're going to be fine.
Yeah.
And I full on.
How would you know?
I dismissed her concern.
Right.
I totally dismissed her concern. I don't want other people to make that mistake.
Yeah.
I made her go underground with her worries because I didn't want to hear them, or she perceived I didn't want to hear them. And, and then I put her in a position of feeling like she was in competition with her sister. What a horrible thing to do.
Yeah.
So I even put a barrier between the sisters. What in the world was I thinking?
I don't know.
And I've got, here you have, you've done all this study, you've taught all these classes, and work with parents. I full on know better.
I know.
What? So
was it a busyness thing? Was it an overwhelmed time when you had 4 kids?
Well, you're just going through the day, right?
Yes.
And
that's what I
got this. Yep. I took care of that. Now I'm on to the next thing.
Go here. Go here. We got to get here. We got it here. We got to get this done.
Yeah. And I didn't want her to feel like that. So I didn't, I think on some level it made me really uncomfortable. And I didn't want her to feel like that. And I wanted it to be fixed like now.
Yeah. I wonder, at that point in your faith walk, we've come to know a true condition or practice that we do called spiritual bypassing.
Oh, that's exactly what I did.
Okay.
Yes, totally. Bypassing her emotions.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
Not acknowledging, recognizing, even honoring.
Yeah. Honoring her despair, we just had Dr. Chinwe Williams on, who also just wrote a fantastic book for kids and teens, along with Will Hutcherson, called Seen. Oh. And that it was, go back and listen to that episode, Heartlifters, because wow, it was really powerful. But now we're, that came from more of a counselor. She was a high school counselor, college counselor, and then more of a ministry base and a counselor. But you're coming from a parent. And that's really why I wanted your voice to speak so loudly to parents, because we all make mistakes. And, Lori, you and I are far along the path here where we can call back. Yeah. And that's part of our ministries is to call back and say, listen, there's a better way. I want to tell you a better way so you can do better. Because when you know better, you do better. So in that angst, you're having that, where did that then unfold? So
yes, time goes on and she still was kind of wrestling with some of these things, but not to the degree that she did in middle school. And then, she went off to college and I was thinking she was on some pretty solid ground at this point because it appeared that way.
Yes.
And then she got into a pretty rigorous, major where she was pretty intense, lots of pressure.
Hard courses.
Yeah. And she puts a lot of pressure on herself anyway. So it's that personality. And not only that, but she also absorbs, she's an empath, really absorbs a lot of feelings, everybody's feelings, and she feels big.
Yeah.
Well, toward the end of her college career, her senior year, she had called me up and I knew she was struggling. There were some issues with, it was the studying, it was like friends stuff. It for her, it felt like this huge mountain. And her voice, oh my gosh, Janelle, her voice was void of emotion.
So that's a clue. That's a sign. You write about the signs, and I wanted to get to those towards when we get to the end more, but that would have been a little like, oh, you leaned in at that point. Yeah.
That really shook me because she doesn't sound like that. She's big happy. She's big mad. She's never void of emotion. So I made a plan to go to her school, which is about 4 hours away from our home, the next day. And I was going to stay there indefinitely just to make sure she was okay. Well, unbeknownst to me, that night she tried to take her life.
Oh, no.
And this unfolded later. She was unsuccessful.
Thank God.
And yeah, praise God. And, I had really prayed before I got there, God, protect her. Now, I almost hate saying that because there are people that don't have that same outcome.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
And I don't have an answer for that.
We will talk about that. Yeah.
But anyway, he did protect her. And I explain it a little more, in the book.
Yes. You must get a copy, parents.
So anyhow, I stayed with her for, I guess it was about a week, and she was attending classes, and we we stayed at a hotel so that she could be away from the
and come out of that. It's such a microculture, it's so what's inner, inward. Insular. There we go. Insular.
Yes, for sure. And so then she came back with me back home. She was making some rash decisions, which is another sign. And things that didn't make sense. Like she was saying that she was going to commute to school.
4 hours.
We live 4 hours away, right? So there's 8 hours commute, that none of it made sense.
Nonsensical.
So
irrational, really.
Her brain was in chaos.
Well, it would be that she's moved out of, that prefrontal cortex.
Yeah. 100%. And so anyway, she came home and stayed with us. We went to the doctor, which was a really important visit because then she was able to get a prescription, which was important. Made a plan.
Just a primary?
Yep. Okay. Who really understood this stuff.
Yes.
And, made a plan for her when she got back to school to go and talk to somebody. But so through all that, she made it through all that hard stuff. And she's good. And then about, maybe 2 years past that experience, she had it on her heart to write a blog to people who were experiencing depression and anxiety. And she wanted to encourage people with her story.
Now so unusual at that age.
I know. And so here she asked, this is what happens. So Janelle, she says, so Mom, I wrote a blog. How do you get those blogs out for people to read them? And I said, and not knowing the topic of the blog, right? And so I'm like, and she's a great writer. So I'm like, that's so awesome. Okay. One of the best things you can do is to put it on Facebook and you will, people will have an opportunity to see it.
Yeah.
Well, I read that blog and I almost threw up. It was so, the emotions that it brought up in me, it was so devastating.
You probably had a delayed trauma yourself. Like you have to hold it together.
Yeah. Because I had been so worried about her.
Yeah.
That I'd forgotten that I'd gone through something, and the rest of our family too. And not only that, but now she was at a place where she was feeling pretty good.
Yes.
And it popped me right back to being
triggered you right away.
Hotel, right? And so I'm reading this, it freaked me out. And I couldn't get a hold of her right away. So then I'm thinking, she hurt herself again. You know, I'm just, my brain, I just went from A to Z. I got a hold of her. He might've been her fiance or boyfriend at the time, now husband. Oh. And he was on a mission trip, and I called him on his mission trip. I'm like, where is she? Yes. And he goes, wasn't that great, that article? Oh. And I'm like, oh yeah.
That's just wonderful.
Yeah. And so then, you know, we were, and she even laughed when I said, are you okay? So I knew she was okay, but I was like,
but you weren't.
And then God used that moment. He used all that experience. And he's like, parents need to know about this. And she needs to help you do this. And so it was a little while later because she had written this and gone public. I said, what would you think if I wrote a book to parents about, you know, these sort of mental health struggles and what's helpful and what's not? And if I did that, would you be willing to add your voice and even pieces of your blog, your article into the book?
Yeah, the journey.
And she was all for it.
Amazing.
And so we got started. And Janelle, I got to tell you, there were a lot of times during this book that it was causing me anxiety. Okay.
Of course. Yes.
Because I was thinking this was going to propel her backwards, not forwards.
Right.
That this is going to bring her back to that dark place. And so I checked in with her a lot. I mean, a lot. and she's like, Mom, seriously,
I'm good.
This is good. And I hardly can even relate to that person anymore. And then received some good help. That, yes, I was like, okay, we can move forward. And this book is not going to cause my daughter to spiral downward.
No, not if she what we like to say in the Heartlift method and in the Heartlifting community here is that she obviously consolidated those memories. She had good trauma-informed care, I'm guessing. God showed up for her as well. Spiritual is, there's the spiritual element is more important than anything. But we're trying to integrate faith and mental health here so that we can encourage men and women to not spiritually bypass these things.
Right.
Yeah,
and it's the whole person. And we are part of our personhood is spiritual. We are spiritual beings.
We are.
So yeah.
And for you to not bypass your own mental health because you you didn't almost, I don't want to throw away. I do want to throw away PTSD. Actually, we don't want to, just throw that around loosely without the gravity of what that means. But I know I've experienced that as well of carrying children through traumas. And then years later, I myself face it, because we are girded to be high functioning as moms. We're girded to be the strong one who offers the weaponized bear hug.
I was just going to say that. Yes. That's a mama bear.
A mama bear. But you know what? Mama bear needs a mama bear.
Right? And my daughter calls me that. She calls me Mama Bear.
Oh, that's so precious. So this is not on our agenda, but what did you do to help your mental health there? Did you just process?
The healing came through working through the book.
Yes.
And God really blessed that. And then now I'm able to see how he's using it. And that's also healing. And very encouraging, how he takes, as he says, he will, the help that he's given us for us to turn around and give that compassion to somebody else.
Yes.
And that help to somebody else. And that has made a huge difference. And, the story can always bring me to tears because that sensitivity, that was really a hard thing. But I know that God is using it at the same time. And maybe those tears now are more healing. And
They are. I'm so grateful you wrote this book, and that the premise, that the thrust, that the primary spotlight is on hope.
Yeah. Because we live in a hopeless world, and this is so hard. Our kids are growing up. Most of them, okay, the ones that we would be talking about were born around the time of 9/11 or experienced it as a child.
Welcome to the world.
So, okay, 9/11. So we've got that. So we've got terrorism. Not only that, but we've got schools now. We live in Colorado.
Oh, yeah, that's
right. My son went to Columbine. Now, he wasn't there during the Columbine he was much younger than that. But
it still leaves an atmosphere. This is Columbine.
Right. And other schools, it's a ripple effect. Other schools not only have maybe even experienced that, but also are prepared for that. So
I have young clients in middle and high school, and they said, last week we had a surprise police visit with the dogs and all the stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy cow.
I know.
What does that feel like?
Churches aren't safe places either, because there have been, shootings there. And so our kids are growing up in this world that feels pretty unstable and kind of unsafe. And so there's that. And then we have the whole thing of everybody's mad right now.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I mean,
you get a lot of anger, a lot of rage, right?
Media, and everyone's got an opinion. And everyone thinks their opinion is right. Nobody's changing anybody's opinion, but they're all going to spout their opinion. We don't seek unity. We seek disunity. And it's horrible.
Yeah, you're preaching. And it's a message that needs to be preached. You mentioned two things, Lori, that I want to bring in here. You say, because we talk a whole lot in this community about spiritual resilience, and you say resilience is just not enough. And that is really important. I want to know why you said that.
I picture resiliency sort of like a piece of elastic. I've got these old running shorts, and why they aren't in the garbage yet is a little bit of a mystery, but that elastic, and as a person, his body changes, the elastic goes along with it. And so now these things are huge. There's no elastic to it. And resiliency, we can keep training our kids for resiliency in the sense of, experiencing failure and picking themselves back up, experiencing disappointment and picking themselves back up. We can do that, and that can work, but it's only one little cog in the wheel, because if you only focus on that resiliency, it's going to come to a point where it's not going to bounce back.
It's not going to bounce.
Too much.
It's too stretched.
So you need, like what you do at your, Heartlifters, you have a holistic approach.
Right.
You have to approach the physical, you have to approach the mental, the emotional, and
relational,
the spiritual. Yes. All that together. And that's the strength of true hope. Right. True hope encompasses all of that. And I love this verse. I love this verse. I'm going to read this verse from John 16:33. I have told you these things so that in me you may have peace. Now, we all want that. We all want peace, right? So I would encourage people to read the entire chapter of John 16, but I'm just going to read this verse.
Oh, yes.
In this world, here we go. In this world, and I'm going to say in this hard world, in this world,
global pandemic world now, right?
You will have trouble. Yeah, we all know that now, right? In this world, you will have trouble, but take heart. Here's your word. Take heart. I have overcome the world. That's hope. That's complete hope.
Oh, wow. Read
Hope
it again.
is
Come on.
realistic, right?
Okay, good. That's what I was going to say, because you say reality is more important than positivity. Oh my gosh, you are
what
brilliant.
the heck?
What the heck?
I know. Now, haven't we always thought just be positive?
Oh yeah.
Things, glass is half full, not half empty.
Yeah.
Reality
Talk to
is
us, Lori.
the thing that helps people. Positivity can actually be toxic.
It can
do that emotional bypassing,
It
that
does.
spiritual bypassing.
Pick yourself up. Come on. God can do this.
Yes.
All things.
Yeah, totally. We're going to dismiss this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Reality lets you know that, this struggle, and
Real.
here's the word that people are always saying, the struggle is real. Well, okay. Yes, it is. It is. That is a thing.
It is.
And the struggle is real. We have to get realistic with that. That's really important for us to do that, to be realistic and to be there in the hard stuff and address the realism.
Yeah.
Rather than say, just, pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Yes.
That's not helpful. And some people, you don't even have the energy to do that.
Oh, right.
But to acknowledge the real thing that's going on, now that's powerful.
Yeah. Is that
to
what you
figure out what's fact and what's fact and what's feeling, to separate those things? That's realistic. And in a brain that's in trauma, just,
Mm-hmm.
This,
Mm-hmm.
you can't separate fact and feeling. It's all mushed together.
Mm-hmm.
So if we could, as parents, not in the moment of trauma, but as a regular parenting technique, talk about the facts versus the feeling. Mm-hmm. The fact is, my husband didn't answer the phone. The feeling might be, I feel like he's ignoring me, right?
Yep.
The fact is, he just didn't answer the phone.
Mm-hmm.
The feeling could be wrong because the reality could very well be that he's in a meeting.
That's correct.
And so we have to help our kids walk through these little steps to disseminate that stuff.
And with the onslaught of TikTok and social media, and we talk a lot about that here. And so I will put references to other episodes because I want to hone in on what Lori is bringing to us today, that the danger of that. And Lori, you and I were talking before about this awful, chilling story that has hit the news about Chesley Christ, beautiful Miss USA. Yeah. Beautiful, most beautiful woman in the country, right? And they are, she took her life. She took her life in a very, very chilling way as well. Yeah. So as I said earlier, this could be triggering for you. So take a break if you need to. But it was a result. This is what the reports are saying. That's, of course, just a few days in, but that it was corrosive influence of social media and cyberbullying. I mean, you couldn't be more beautiful than this woman. You couldn't be more accomplished. She was getting ready to turn 30. So I read and just felt like I haven't made it. I'm not there yet. And I'm just going to go downhill from this point, Yeah. That is so grievous. Yeah. And
from the outside looking in, everyone would think she had it made. She had everything. And, I always think of Robin Williams too.
Yes, for sure.
And that's part of, I've heard the quote where you can fake happy, but you can't fake depression. And so,
I faked happy
if our
most of my life.
kids we got to dig a little deeper, because especially for the ones who exude happiness,
high functioning, like you were saying, your daughter was high functioning. She was all the things. She was attractive. Yes. She was thin. She, there was no sensible reason.
Right.
Yeah.
And for a lot of the time, as she was going through this, she would be who she thought people wanted her to be.
Thank you for saying that.
And she's like this great, she truly has this great light about her. And when you are in her presence, you typically feel uplifted and happy. She's a beautiful person to be with.
Beautiful.
But yet here she was in the midst of this deep, dark struggle, thinking she had to be that person for everybody else, because that everyone else, she thought that's who everybody liked.
Yes. Right? Oh, I do know. Yes.
And oh my gosh, we
and
need
at that
to find
formidable
our safe
age
people, right?
Yeah,
We have to
right.
find our safe people. There are some that maybe that is why they like you, right? I mean, there are those people,
right?
But we need to find our safe, loyal confidants that we can be who we are.
And that's difficult in this, especially with teens. I would say middlers, holy cow, what the heck? Finding authenticity in a world of TikTok and in a world that's truly inauthentic, more in our face, inauthentic every day, right? We paste beautiful. I do it. I'm guilty. Beautiful pictures on Instagram. I don't put my crap on Instagram.
Well, no. And really, why would you?
I know. I don't even know why I put my good life. I don't even know. Like, why do I spend all this time doing this? It is a very, very in my face question. At the beginning of this new year. Why do I do that? And is that really helping or hurting? And so I always want to be someone who brings help and not harm in life. So how then, from your own experience, which I'm so grateful for your vulnerability today and for your willingness and for your daughter to offer us hope growth. I love that you say hope growth. I'm going to build that into my practice and in my life. How can I feed my hope growth? So that's one question. But the first primary question is, I want you to leave parents with some form of hope and a tool. So is it, as you've already expressed to us, and I can read from the book, but I'll probably add that in later because I have you here up close and personal. How can a parent lean in? You leaned into her voice. So that meant you were paying attention. That meant you were aware. Is that what you learned from that initial time when you just wanted to fix it? You wanted her to get better.
Yeah.
Life was busy.
Yeah. You, like you say, you really need to lean in and listen. I do believe connection is
it's everything.
Really the biggest thing.
It is.
If we can connect with our kids and our kids can feel safe with us, they need to feel safe. Yeah. If they can feel safe with us, that is a huge thing, because they will be able to tell us the hard stuff.
What does that look like? What does that look like? Help me. Like, if you could call back to yourself, which is what we're doing, call back to your younger self at that stage as a mom I know for me, I would put, I did sacrifice. I did put a lot of my own ambition or career or whatever. I did do that, but I still, even as a homeschooling mom, was very, very busy.
Well, busy. We can get kind of stuck in the schedule, and the activities of, getting from A to B and, really thinking about the schedule. I think we need to put a check on ourselves. If our schedule becomes more important than sitting with our kiddos and talking, and even, those family dinners are a big deal. And I know that sounds really cliche, but I can tell you they are disappearing.
They are. Oh, they are. And if not disappeared,
we need to
gather
back. Yeah.
Communal, connect.
Yeah. And that's really
lunch,
important.
Dinner, something.
And I know there are some parents that do these little conversation starters, and I think that's great. That's a great way to kind of find out what's going on. Another way to connect, and it's sort of like a sideways way. And it's what Jesus did. Like when he asked his disciples, who do people say I am? He doesn't go, he comes in to the conversation gently and sideways. Who do people say that I am? And then he directly says, I believe, to Peter, who do you say I am? Or maybe he's referring to all the disciples and Peter's the one that answers.
Brilliant.
But who do you say that I am? That's a good way to connect with your kids. Do you know of anybody that's struggling with eating disorders? Do you know anyone anyone that's struggling with depression in your friend group? Come in sideways first and then just say, have you ever had those feelings? But first come in sideways, and that will lower the guard.
Yes, it does.
That's a great way to go.
I've also added this in my practice with my teens and saying, so like if perhaps cutting's involved, or marijuana, or just some numbing, or just some behavior that really would have been taboo or hidden, or have some shame attached to it.
Yes.
Now on TikTok, so I will say, so I'm just wondering if you're saying words to me, or particularly even about their sexual identity. So I'd be like, are you hearing words like that? You're using words that I don't even know. And so I'm wondering where you heard that. Was it TikTok? Was it Snapchat? I'm literally asking them to educate me like you are, and it is I love the sideways approach. I think that's phenomenal. And because it does make it, that in itself creates that atmosphere of safety you and I are talking about. It's not judgmental.
Full on gives you an idea of what's going on in their life.
Mm-hmm. So check in.
Yeah, totally.
Where'd you hear that? How did you even know that word? I say that all the time. How do you know that word?
Yeah. And they love to tell you because, they like to tell you that stuff.
Yeah. And like cutting has a good, she's a cutter. It's like, I'm cool now because I'm a cutter.
Well, and I don't have become kind of a thing.
It is. Well, it is absolutely. It's as old as the hills, but it's a thing and it's acceptable. That's what I'm trying to like.
It used to be more hidden, and that's the same with,
a lot of the things. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And another thing that parents can ask, which I think actually kind of makes a little bit more comfortable for the child, is not to ask them if they're experiencing anxiety. I think that that word even causes anxiousness, right?
It does.
But instead say, how's your stress level? Yeah. Now, stress is kind of a cool thing.
Yes.
How's your stress level?
A little more friendly.
Maybe a little bit like a check-in, a scale of 1 to 10, where would you say you are with your stress? That will let you know where they are with their anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can say, what are the things that kind of cause that stress to occur?
Mm-hmm.
That gives you such great insight and a great way to have a conversation with your kiddos.
Yeah.
And, the connection, not just about the serious stuff, but have fun together.
Yes. What is the most fun thing you've done? Yes.
Enjoy being together.
Yes.
Take a day, if your school happens to be in school.
Yes.
Take a day where you go pick up your child for lunch and have them miss a couple hours.
I want to piggyback on that because
a couple little things like that,
Yeah, I have a family of 5 kids who just lost their mom. She was young and vibrant and amazing. And I've had the honor and privilege of sitting with them in their grief. And the sweet little 10-year-old I said, so we would work through some questions just to open up his heart. And one of the most beautiful things that all 5 of them said was, and I've talked about this before, I just miss her voice.
Oh, yeah.
I miss hearing her voice, and I miss her at bedtime.
Bedtime.
And she did a lot of, and it could have been that because she definitely had a terminal illness, that she was more proactive in picking them up, but surprising them at school and taking them to get yogurt, fresh, yummy yogurt or frozen yogurt or a coffee or a tea or something at Starbucks. And, she was super good at that. And, the youngest would just say, I don't like when I'm going to bed because that's when I think everything. That's how I put it. That's when my deep thoughts come out. So that's what you and I are asking parents to invite and to set aside this valuable time, because you and I both have grown adult children now. We know how valuable, that time is, and we can't do the job again. That mothering is a job we cannot do again. We do have a privilege of reparenting or making, healing, reparation, all of that. Don't get all worried you're going to screw up your kid. you do have opportunities to repair
Right.
things
Yes,
that
God
were
can make up time in the end.
absolutely. That is the hope that your book brings to us for sure.
You know, Janelle, you brought up bedtime, and that child really articulated what happens at bedtime. You get into bed and you let your guard down.
You do.
And that is a perfect time for a mom of perhaps a teenage boy, maybe even a teenage girl. Well, for
anybody.
Yeah. To go in and sit on the side of their bed and maybe give them a little bit of a back rub.
Yes.
And just talk about the day. Their defenses are down.
Yeah.
And you are going to have a whole different conversation then than you would when they come back, they walk in the door from school or from one of their activities. That's not going to be the same conversation that you're going to get at bedtime. No. And, you know, I know we can get so tired. You were just like, oh, just go to bed, you know, or I'm going to bed before you, you know, at that age. But if you know, at least, you know, once a week,
be present,
can do that. I think it's powerful.
They also said she always picked up always answered our text immediately, which they were just fascinating. Yeah. After effects of why she was so valuable. Good.
Oh, she always really tweaked me on that one because I'm very bad at answering my texts right away. Yes.
I usually have it on Do Not Disturb.
Did you even see it?
Not good. Whoops. I was totally called to the carpet when each one of them said that. And then I'm just offering myself grace and self-compassion. But they also just said she never tried to fix anything right away. She just listened. She just listened.
So good.
Isn't it good?
So good.
Okay. So I could keep you all day. You know that. And we might return and visit, but you have an acrostic, and I'm super big on leaving, which is like 4 succinct.
Oh, okay.
You remember it by heart?
Yeah.
I can pull it.
Of course.
Of course. Yes. Okay. So hope. Leave us with your hope.
Okay. So the acrostic, hope, the letter H, being a help and a helper, and also knowing that God, the creator of the universe, is our helper. We want a family that is interdependent, one that can rely on each other, one that can celebrate with each other and mourn with each other, have fun together. Interdependent family. That's how we're created, not independent. So interdependent family, and knowing that God is our helper. And being a helper is not subservient. It is an honorable position. And asking for help on the flip side is a brave and courageous thing to do. And we all need help. We are created that way because we are created to need each other. So help and helper, the letter H.
So good.
The letter O, have an out-of-the-box perspective.
Oh.
So that's the bird's eye view. Now, again, the bird's eye view is really important training. It's a little not so good in the moment. That will sound like a platitude. Oh, well, when God closes a door, he opens a window. Oh. Nobody wants that. They don't want the bird's eye view when they're in the middle of the hard thing. Let your kiddo grieve and experience that grief, right?
Yep.
But don't park there. But
or don't fix it.
Yeah, exactly. So that whole thing.
And be okay with the silence. Like I've had to learn to really be okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
I'm just here when you want to talk. If you want to talk, I'm here. Yeah. I'll make room. There's no rush. I'm safe. I want to be safe. I'm not moving. That's what we talk about. Parents, that secure attachment is what you're giving your child when you're just present.
Yes.
That goes a long way. Okay.
Train your kid in the out of the box perspective, but don't speak it in the middle of the hard stuff. And then the next one, the letter P for prayer, pray with your kids, pray for your kids, get a prayer partner. I have a prayer partner. We pray every Tuesday, and we have done this for, I'm going to say 13 years.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
I can't believe it, but we just make sure we do that. And so carve that out. And there's all kinds of different ways to pray. We can pray the scriptures. We can pray what's on our heart. Sometimes we cannot pray. And that's why it's really nice to have a prayer partner, because they will pray for you.
Yeah. Borrow prayers. We've talked a lot last year about liturgy and borrowed prayers. To light their way is a great resource.
That can also kind of center you as
it does.
well.
It's very centering. That's how I've been using it in my life. Yeah.
And then to letter E, for the letter E for hope, to expect the unexpected, which I think now we can all really relate to because of the whole last 2 years, right?
Yeah. Right.
Life happens in the unexpected, and our kids aren't going to have everything happy, and they will not be resilient. They will not be able to build up hope and cultivate hope if they think they deserve happiness and they deserve everything that they want. They need to expect the unexpected. They are going to have sad things happen.
They are.
And
they're going to be cut from teams. They're going to be ousted from a group. They're going to be bullied by the girl sitting next to them. Rejection.
But the beautiful side of sadness is that it creates empathy and compassion in us.
It does.
If you never experience sadness, you never understand how to put yourself in somebody else's shoes. So sadness is okay.
It is.
And then fear, to expect the unexpected. We are going to, and our kids are going to go through fearful times. We can't protect them from that. We don't want them to do, incredibly risky things, but let them do, don't take a risk.
Give them some rope,
but a little bit of risk, because then they have the opportunity to be brave and courageous.
That's correct.
That's a really good thing. Anger, we can sin in our anger, but anger can be a really great emotion.
Yeah, we have to have anger
used in a non-sinful way.
That's
where we can go ahead and it can motivate us to solve big problems.
Without a doubt. Yes.
Anger also, I think, to look at anger and to kind of think, okay, what is the emotion that is actually stirring the anger, since anger is a secondary emotion.
Those undercurrents.
To identify that, that's really helpful for our brain to say, oh, I'm feeling frustrated. That's why I'm mad. I'm feeling annoyed. That's why I'm mad. I'm feeling hurt. That's why I'm mad. So, all of those things, to expect the unexpected, because life is not going to be happy. And I think only happy, it'll be, a fourth happy. Happy is great. Happy can come and go. And then that reminds me of another thing. If your kiddo is experiencing grief, and you're worried that they might be falling into depression, one of the signs of depression is, and of course, Janelle, you know this better than anybody, is not to be able to experience any joy, happiness.
That's correct.
And if they can be in their grief and still, like the family you were talking about, still have a fond memory of their mom doing something silly and they can laugh about it, that's good grief.
Yes.
So we need to be really watching if that grief has morphed into depression. We need to watch if the stress is morphing into anxiety.
And you get those. I want to draw people to your book, Messy Hope, page 115. And I did want to not finish without reading. Here are the common signs your child is more than just sad. Lethargy, inability to concentrate, feelings of worthlessness, hopelessness, helplessness, not being able to complete a simple task. Those are the things that I always look for as well. Negativity, pessimism, frequent crying episodes, which may not happen until you're sitting there and allowing them the space to let the armor down that they've worn at school that day. Withdrawal. That withdrawal would sound like, I don't care about anything or anybody. Those words I spoke about earlier. I just don't care about anybody. You keep telling me I care, Janelle. Those were the other words that were spoken. You keep telling me, but I don't.
It's that flat line.
I had to sit back and go, okay, all right, you're right. I have tried to make you wear that. And I'm sorry. Let me take that off of you. That's what I said yesterday. And let me take that off of you for a minute. I'm sorry. I tried to speak for you. See, we do that as a parent, as a therapist.
we do.
Probably because we don't want to deal with our own stuff either. Neglecting personal appearance, anger, guilt, unable to make decisions, loss in interest in activities previously enjoyed. Now, this window was just a 10-day window between my last session with this particular person, little teen, and this one. And I'm like, what happened in the last 7 to 10 days? Total change. Okay. Eating and sleeping too much or too little, and they're all symptoms to watch out for. Depression is more likely to seep in when a person in their late teen years to mid 20s, and that's very common in identifying even bipolar or mental issues. They tend to start coming out during that time. So that's something to be very aware of. Well, Lori, you have helped us today. Remind us today that, as I say, we have to be able to hold joy and sorrow at the same time. That's something that I did not really teach my children. I didn't know it in my own parenting, and that during that era of parenting, I've learned it since. I've learned that we have to hold pleasant with unpleasant. Yeah. And as you said, we have to integrate all of those things and really grow in our emotional intelligence as a parent, put on a growth mindset, and be very near and dear to the heart of God when we are in perplexing situations. So I just thank you from the bottom of my heart. I'm wondering, I'm putting you on the spot so you can have a few moments to think about it, and I can obviously take care of that post editing. But if parents have questions, it's just like, if they have questions for you, Lori, would they be able to contact you via your website or whatever?
Oh, of course. Yes.
Okay.
And I do have a contact page on my website. Perfect. So my website is Lori, Lori, Wildenberg, WILDENBERG.com. And yes, I would be very happy to.
Okay. Because I suspect there may be someone listening who is in your shoes back then.
Yeah.
And you are offering them hard times. You're offering us messy hope. And I love the title Messy Hope, because it is nothing but messy. But you've also given us imagery and words that have helped us to understand what hope is and what it looks like on a daily basis. So I thank you for that. So thanks hopefully we will talk to you again. You're welcome.
Thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. So Heartlifters, wow. I think this is an episode that's evergreen, and that you are probably going to want to get out a notebook and rewind and take some notes, and always visit us over on YouTube, where you can actually see Lori and I, and be sure to offer any questions or thoughts to either Lori or myself. Until next time, don't forget this important truth. You are clothed in strength and dignity. You can offer weaponized bear hugs.
Yeah.
And look at your future and smile at your future, because we have nothing to fear. See you next time.